Hello and welcome. Excuse me. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Sausage Dodgers Endurance League. I'm your host, Sagar Bakshi, aka The Real High. We're going to be taking you from green to checkered flag here tonight. And before we get going, we need to talk about some of the championship. And before we get going, we're going to need to talk about some of the drivers and the pace that they have. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be grueling. The conditions are wet tonight, so the drivers are going to be faced with some of the toughest conditions they've ever had to face. It's going to be very important for these drivers to make it to the checkered flag, especially under these conditions. We'll take a look at the weather here in just a few moments, but for now, it's Simon Darsh leading the charge. Excuse me, this will be Simone Massey running in P3 right now for Team Racing Point. And there goes Mauro Gabbiati going round. Unfortunately for the driver from Italy, coming through the second Lesmo and onto the back straightaway. It won't be the best running for them. Let's take a look at the tire compound selection that all the drivers have picked. Yes, all the drivers are going to be onto the wet compound tires right now. Mattia Ubertalli going provisionally faster and faster, 159.560 there. Thomas Oliviani with a 145.649 in the GTP category. Corbett in P2, Mark Richards in P3, Andrew Kenny in 4th, Leslie Simpkins in 5th, Robert Zvor in 6th, and that'll be Paul Rocky Cook in 7th. Mauro Gabbiati, though, is going faster. So is Paolo Minetti, Leslie Simpkins, Simone Massey, and Simon Darsh, all picking up a little bit of pace right now on their last laps. They will get 2 laps to qualify. This will be it for Simone Massey when they get to the line, down in 5th place, but promotes themselves up into the top 3 onto the second row outside line for turn 1, 2/10 back from Nick Hold that thought. Nick Ewers up into P2. Obviously, the wet conditions favoring him. He's only 7/10 down from Mattia Ubertalli in P1. Tim Williams snatches away the provisional pole, bumps everybody back. Now throws down a 159.318. Corbett in P2 for the GTP, Mark Richards in 3rd, Andrew Kenny in 4th, Svor, then Simpkins, and then Paul Rocky Cook. Is anybody still out there completing their second lap? It will be the Bananamobile of Nick Ewers. But will it be any improvement for Ewers? A 2-minute 3.2 is his provisional pole time. Kenny puts it down a 1:46.139 on that final lap of his. And that'll be good enough for second place. He was fastest in the practice session, but I think it was under a little bit wetter conditions than what we're seeing right now. Oliviati able to challenge a little bit. Here comes Ewers, 2-minute 3:02. I think that'll match his personal best and his last lap around. Tim Williams 9 thousandths off of Ubertali's time that last time around. So 797 showing his cards quick and early. Paolo Minetti spun off at turn 1, but completed their 3 laps. Here's Mr. Paul Rocky Cook himself. And Paul Rocky Cook, 1:47.819, will leave him in 7th place. Think that'll do it here for the qualifying. Let's take a look at the points, folks. In the GT3 category, it's Simone Massey in P1. Stefan Wall in P2. Francisco Cardullo in P3. Marie Schuler in 4th. Marahan Koderman in 5th. Florian Savecki in 6th. Joshua Gruning in 7th. Toby Toti in 8th, Daniel Moffat in 9th, Tim Williams in 10th, Florian Brand, Nick Ewers, Vincenzo Stagnito, Simon Darsh, Augusto Sacosio, Mattia Ubertali, Toby Andrews, Luke Andrews. All will round out the first 18 drivers. Maximilian Schultz, Kevin Schuler, Noah Kelly Moss, Paolo Minetti, Mauro Gabbiati, Adam Greveson, Remy Lopez dos Santos, Luca Zincola, Luke Sherlock, Ben Macy. Holy Toledo, we've had a lot of participants. Pascal Eckhart, Lionel Pilipakakis, and Mickey Phipps, Anazuka Manel, and Ryan Sheldon, rounding out all of the participants that have gotten points. But of course, we still have Luca Gentile, Vetislav Maverick, Fast Racer, Joey Perez, rounding out the drivers that have taken points here. Holy Toledo. Now over to the GTP category. It'll be Alejandro Girardin from Team Girardin with 134 points. Mark Richards in P2. Thomas Oliviati in P3. Leslie Simpkins in P4. Andrew Kenny in P5. Paul Rocky Cook in 6th. Sander Blau in 7th. Louis Fitchner in 8th. Robert Spohr in 9th. Jake Andrews in 10th. Jonas Joberg in 11th. Oscar Corbett in 12th, Noah Osbaldeston in 13th, Matt Simpkin in 14th, Joe Pinder, Vincent Sparinger, Diego Moreno, and Christian Barker will round out the first of the 18 GTPs. Simon Music, Alan Richfool, Max Siegert, Evan Edvard Kizix, Finn Caitlin, Sergio Zarudi, and Finn Weiss will round out everybody in the GTP category. And of course, it likes to do this sometimes, so I apologize. We'll get the graphics updated here in just a second. We are currently in the warm-up period of the qualifying session, of the race period, I should say. So we're just getting the drivers ready right now. Let's go ahead and get those results posted for you. For the 12 drivers in the GT3 category, it was Ubertali leading by 9 thousandths in front of Tim Williams in the 797. Nick Ewers in third, Simone Massey in fourth, Vincenzo Stagnito in fifth, Paolo Minetti in sixth, Mauro Gabbiati in seventh, Simon Darsh in eighth, Francisco Cardullo rounding out the drivers that did set a time. Koderman, Eckhart, and Gentile not setting times. Over to the GTP field, Oliviati sets the pole position time by half a second in front of Andrew Kenny. Oscar Corbett just a little further back. Mark Richards in fourth, Leslie Simpkins in fifth, Roberts 4 in sixth, Rocky Cook in seventh, and Louis Fitchner rounding out the 8 participants in the GTP field. Just a few more moments remaining in the warm-up period, and we'll go racing around one of Italy's finest for the penultimate round here with the Endurance League. With next week becoming the finale, the championship is still out there and up for grabs for the drivers at hand. Here at Monza, we're going to have to focus on drafting. A couple keys to the race are going to be slipstream strategy. Monza is draft city. The long straights mean slipstream can make or break a lap in both qualifying and in the race conditions. So drivers are going to have to be cognizant of how they position their cars. The drivers are getting gridded up now. So let's get to seeing the official grid now. Thomas Oliviati in P1 next to Andrew Kenny in P2. Oscar Corbett and Mark Richards next to Leslie Simpkins and Roberts 4. Paul Rocky Cook and Louis Fitchner will round out the GTP category. Mattia Ubertali and Tim Williams alongside each other. Bumped back was Nick Ewers and next to Simone Massey. Vincenzo Stagnito and Paolo Minetti alongside each other, Mauro Gabbiati and Simon Darsh. Francisco Cardullo and Merhan Koderman, Pascal Eckhart, and Luca Gentile round out the 12 drivers in the GT3 category. Oh no, and we have Tim Williams starting from pit lane. And that is going to, and Koderman as well starting from pit lane. Perhaps accidentally put on dry tires or something. I couldn't tell you what happened. But we do have Simone Massey and Nick Ewers promoted into second and third already on the race start. Huge puddles of water everywhere you look. Let's take a quick look at the weather forecast. Temperature 64 degrees Fahrenheit. So even if it does stop raining, it's not going to dry up. Not a lot of wind, cloudy conditions, humidity at 57% there. drivers getting ready to take the green flag. Oliviati leads, but just barely next to Andrew Kenny, who's keeping him honest there. The red lights are on. Out they go, and green, green, green. Away we go down into the most dangerous corner in motorsports. It's turn 1 at Monza, folks. Leading down and towards turn 1, Oliviati covers off the inside line. A little bumping and banging between Kenny and Richards. And that will be Richards going to the off track. No, Leslie Simpkins, excuse me, going to the off track. Richards was able to escape with his life. Now, Oscar Corbett seemingly having a huge incident. We'll take a replay of that once we get settled in with the GT3 field, because Ubertali leads in front of Simone Massey. But now Andrew Kenny and Oliviati have inverted positions, but it looks like Mark Richards, who cut the chicane, has to give that position back up, but not the track position that he has gained. So he's closer to Oliviati now than he was in the opening session. See if we can get a replay of what happened to Oscar Corbett here. Drivers approaching the sky for the first time of asking. Andrew Kenny leads the field. Louis Fitchner makes a move, a 2-move pass, gets around. Fitchner making moves left, right, and center into Parabolica, but it all goes wrong for the driver from Germany. I was wondering how he made up 2 positions in one corner, because he was a little in too deep. Kenny still leading Ubertali for now. Vincenzo Stagnito chasing down Nick Ewers and P3. Let's look back at the GT3 battle. Here is Stagnito, the SimDrivers.eu partner. And the BMW behind of Stagnito is Paolo Minetti, and he was heavy on the brakes, and it looks like Nick Ewers had a bit of a swiggle coming out of turn 2. Oscar Corbett comes down pit lane after that early off track. Let's see what happened to Corbett here. So Corbett was the driver involved, 998, off at turn 1, rejoins the racetrack, gets on the loud pedal, and just loses it into a puddle. You hate to see it. Oliviati closing down on Andrew Kenny. Side by side, run down towards Parabolica now. A little bit of door banging under brakes. Looks like Kenny may have just lost a little bit of control of his vehicle. Side by side through Parabolica. Is going to keep it on the black stuff. Don't want to dare go near the green painted off track lines. This is going to allow Richards to close down his gap. It's only half a second. Kenny tries to cover off Oliviati, pushes him off into the grass, into the puddles, and now Oliviati is going to drive with a little bit more ferocity, I think, as Kenny covered off the attacking move from Oliviati. Thank you very much for joining, everybody. Thank you very much for staying tuned. It's a pleasure to be your host, as always, and bringing you more Sausage Dodgers action every single week. You can see the rain coming down on the driver, so it is still misty out there. And this will definitely shake things up in the standings. Mark Richards able to potentially get P3 points and might be able to get the lead of the championship. Side by side, Oliviati chases down Kenny. This time it's the inside line. Quickly switches it up to the outside. This time I don't think Kenny can cover this one off. Has to go defensive and pensive. He covers it off to the best of his abilities, but on the brakes, the 16 is also there in the same machinery. Top 5 drivers all in Porsches. Single file here. Let's check out Vincenzo Stagnito and Nick Ewers' toe, because this is the run down towards turn 1. This is nearly identical laps from Ubertali and Simone Massey, who's gained 2 positions. The number 69 driver looking fairly good tonight. Oh, and there is someone off. Is that Ewers off? It is. And I think because he went off at turn 1, he will get a very hefty slowdown penalty for not going through the chicane, but we have to go back to Oliviati and Kenny's debacle, because they're going to continue to race here down Parabolic. It looks like Oliviati had the over done at Parabolica and just able to carry more speed out of the chicane and through the final corner. Now Kenny's going to have an opportunity. The toe is going to be there, but he's not really using it to his advantage because he stepped out from it. So that way you can get a little bit more visibility going down into the braking zone for the first corner. Here at the Autódromo Nazionale Monza, we have a track length of 3.6 miles or 5.7 kilometers. Drivers are going to be full throttle about 85% of the lap. This track was founded in 1922. It's been the current layout since 2000. We are located in Monza, Italy, with 11 corners, 4 to the left, 7 to the right. We're facing 43 feet of elevation change, around 13 meters, and a 7 mile long, 0.7 mile or 1.1 kilometer straightaway. Is it me, or is Mark Richards looking like he could be on the attack? He's having a couple of wiggles behind Kenny. You can see the rain lights are flashing on the rear wing from Kenny ahead. Mark Richards lifts and coasts going into Parabolica. Gets on the throttle and the car absolutely gets sideways. And he's counter steering throughout Parabolica to try to keep the car beneath him. Can't see anything in that rooster tail. I now understand why the drivers are finding these alternate lines, potentially trying to find puddles of water to keep their tires a little bit cooler. This doesn't look like it's raining too badly right now. And Tim Williams in this battle, but 6 seconds back, you could see in the distance there. Started from pit lane in 8th place for the class. Mattia Ubertali leads the GT3s in front of Simone Massey in P2. Vincenzo Stagnito in P3. Nick Ewers in P4. Take a quick look here at Nick Ewers and the SDR, well, team, but he's rocking the Gemini Racing livery. And speaking of which, and something I apologize for forgetting to do, is thanking Nick Ewers for his sponsorship. Gemini Prestige Vehicle Movers, PVM for short, sponsors the Endurance League. Come check them out on their Instagram and their Facebook page to see all the cool cars that Nick Ewers gets to touch. We'll put up a little slideshow throughout the stream as well, but for now, we've got Nick Ewers battling with Vincenzo Stagnito. Ewers kind of looks to the inside line going in towards Ascari, but he's close, but no cigar this time. You could see the puddles of water just pouring out from the wheel wells. And Simone Massey, like a teenager in his first car, finding puddles of water to splash through. Really looking for areas where he can cool down those tires. The Porsche looks planted coming through Parabolica. And it looks like he might have the run on Stagnito. Nick Ewers back over to the outside line. It'll be tough to go the long way around a big hefty BMW. But under the braking conditions, the BMW behind the 72 closes down on the 55 as he gets another wiggle coming through the chicane. Paolo Minetti now involved in this pack battle with Francisco Cardullo in P6, looking to close down his 1 second gap to Minetti ahead. It's an all-Italian podium for now, but Nick Ewers can be the hero that the Brits deserve and need tonight. Louis Fitchner into pit lane, surprisingly, and that's a bit early. We still have an hour left to go. Was Fitchner involved in a wreck? We have a Darsh crash, we have a Minetti crash, but I do not have a Fitchner crash. Let's see what happened to Fitchner here. In the number 13 has a bit of a moment through the Lesmo. And the German driver gets back on the track and just loses a little bit of ground there. And what happened to Minetti? This is behind Nick Ewers, so he was closing down the gap on Ewers ahead and just loops it around at Curva Grande, and that'll be it. Double Apex Gaming, how you doing? Thank you for joining us, brother. Thank you very much for being here. Hope you're enjoying your Thursday. Nick Ewers really on that bumper of Stagnito ahead. And door banging galore into the braking zone of the second chicane, and Ewers goes airborne, kissing the sausage. I'm not sure if racing room was given there, and Ewers is probably talking to his compatriots on the mic right now about how he feels in Tank Slapper for Francisco Cardulo, the driver behind. That'll allow Ghibbiotti to go wheel to wheel with the race leader of Thomas Oliviati. Mark Richards in P2 now, as Andrew Kenny went off track for the second time and gave that position over to Mark Richards, it looks like. And look at the line of cars coming down the straightaway here. Here's Tim Williams getting chased down by Francisco Cardulo. Yeah, it looks like Cardulo's Aston Martin is not running so well right now. You're still closing down on Stagnito. Up ahead, the 55 just 4/10 back from Stagnito up ahead, and it looks like the clouds have gotten darker and the rain has come down a little bit heavier with 57 minutes left to go. We're only about 17 and a half minutes into this race, and there goes Cardulo again. And that's a crash for Cardulo. Let's take a quick look at the incident. Ooh, and the 75 loops it, coming out of Ascari. Two in the evasive maneuvers of the BMWs and the GTP get around safely. Now, one of the things about an endurance race, and especially one in the wet, is that we're going to tend to see the packs split up a little bit, and it'll become a little bit of a hot lapping session. I think that's what we're going to see for the next 50 minutes or so. Might see some action during the pit stop cycle, but for now the intervals are large. Oscar Corbett making up ground. Now onto the same lap as Lewis Fitchner, and 56 seconds back. A little bit of a off track there for Corbett, and a slowdown penalty to boot. Drivers are having a little bit of issue getting their cars slowed down, and there goes Nick Ewers again off track. We'll keep in touch with this battle because Nick Ewers really could find a podium here tonight for the 55, and that would be something. Now, looking at lap times last around, Leslie Simpkins might be the driver to do something to catch up to Andrew Kenny up ahead. He's lapping in 152 range, while Kenny was in 153s. We also have Fitchner closing down on Robert Svor at around 4 seconds per lap that last time around. But we all know the saying, lap traffic giveth and lap traffic taketh away, all in the same breath, unfortunately. So we'll have to see for sure what is going to unfold. Francisco Cardullo closes down on Marahan Coderman. Coderman, who did not set a lap for qualifying, now under threat from a fellow Aston Martin brother. And a very cautious defense from Coderman going into one, but loses it under braking. Cardullo keeps it calm, cool, and collected through the first chicane, and even has his rain light on. And gotta love that light bar there. Oh no! And Cardullo has a big off at Curva Grande. Able to close down on Coderman? Not really. And that should be Lewis Fitchner in the number 13 behind. 152.0 for Oliviani last time by. 152.17 for Richards. 159 for Kenny. Leslie Simpkins has a meatball flag. Let's see what happened to Leslie here at this off track, who is pretty much straight off at Parabolica. Oh no, and that car is crab walking like a trucker. Oh no. And he's going to limp that one all the way down pit lane sideways if he has to. And Leslie Simpkins into pit lane. Oh no! Nick Ewers crashes as well. What a quick look at what happens here for Leslie. Oh no! Ewers a little too deep going into one. Thought he can get one done on Stagnito. Goes through the temporary chicane there. Gets back on the loud pedal. Okay. So now he's looking good. Okay. Goes through Curva Grande. No problems here. The 55 leads in front of, I believe that would be Cardullo. I could be wrong. 55 looks okay. Being tidy. I'm not seeing the crash. So maybe he is doing okay. And in front of Mauro Gabbiati, that's who he is battling with. Switch over to Gabbiati's point of view. Again, stepping out of that toe because how powerful that rooster tail is. But Ewers goes into deep. And that'll allow Gabbiati to walk right on by. Now those gaps I was talking about earlier have expanded to quite some time. There goes Ewers again through turn one. Just not nailing the braking zone. Has to be a little bit more careful. Otherwise he could incur a penalty. Oliviati pulls out 6 seconds in front of Richards. It's not a gap that is insurmountable, but if it keeps on growing at this rate, it might become that way. Mark Richards in P2. Andrew Kenny in third, down 1 from where he started this event. Robert Svor in P4. Louis Fitchner in 5th. Leslie Simpkins in 6th. Paul Cook in 7th. Oscar Corbett in 8th. In the GT3s, it's Ubertalli leading by 7.3 seconds in front of Simone Massey. Again, a gap that if it continues to grow at this rate can become untouchable, barring any dramatic mistakes. Looks like the sun has actually come out here, and the track could potentially be drying up. I am seeing a couple of dry lines form. Definitely not dry enough for dry tires, but with this many cars, 20 of them running around track, I think we might see the dries become viable. Mauro Gabbiati closing down on Stagnito by 2 seconds a lap that last time by, and if Stagnito gets run into traffic here, could slow him down even more. Oliviati with a slowdown penalty. And you can hear the wheel spin from the drivers when they mount the curbs coming through Ascari. It's pretty dramatic. Wow. This just must be so much water here on track. It has been raining pretty much through practice into qualifying, and now for the race start. I guess the real question is, when will the cutover period be? Oh yeah, you can see that racing line forming, leading down and towards the first chicane. Dangerous place to be, the inside line all the way through Curva Grande. With the 6th place car of Leslie Simpkins. Has no fear, he walks right on through Stagnito and Gabbiati. That 1.9 second gap still coming down, not as fast as it did on the previous lap between Gabbiati and Stagnito. Now, the gap still slinkies back in the favor of Stagnito. 2 seconds. 2029, 2023, 2022. 2025 from yours. Wow. And 2016 from Williams. And that'll be Massey off at turn 1. Rejoins right in front of Gabbiati. Gets passed by Stagnito as well. Let's take a look at what happened here. It actually started with Paolo Minetti crashing. Here's Minetti's crash going into Parabolica. Okay. And Simone Massey goes up. Whoa. Off track at turn 1. Under braking. Spins out of control. Lights up the rear end. And able to rejoin the track safely. Yes, he does. Now Massey in tow of Gabbiati. Wants to challenge into Ascari for the podium, but might be a little too far back right now, and those tires might be a little bit overheated as the Team Racing Point driver settles into 4th place, 0.8 behind Gabbiati. Now in the GTP field, that gap up ahead has opened up. My worst fears have become true. Oliviati has run away with an 11-second gap in front of Mark Richards. But it only takes one mistake from any of the drivers to really give it all up here. Especially as we start approaching these drying conditions, and overheated tires will form a new pit stop window. Oh, look at how dry the track is right now. I mean, you see the rooster tails coming up, you see the moisture there for sure, but you can definitely see dry lines forming. Louis Fitchner gets on to the lead lap and then comes down pit lane. This will be the second for Fitchner. Richards able to snake by the 69 and the 15. Side by side going down towards turn 1. Massey again with the big wiggles under braking. It'll be deep for the 15, but holds on through turn 2 on throttle. Has a slower exit. Simone Massey might try to go the long way around at Curva Grande. This is where things get a little bit dangerous and dicey, because if they touch, it could be the end of both of their races. And we also have the GTP of Andrew Kenny watching in the wings behind. Now toe-to-toe through the second chicane. The 69 covers off the 15. Gabbiati has to take to the runoff road and goes off track. Now, GTPs get through the GT3 leaders. This will be the second time they've come through. Expect to see them another 2 more times before the end of the race. But the pit stop window is now open for the GTPs. Only people that have come down pit road: Leslie Simpkins, Oscar Corbett, and Paul Cook. Oh, excuse me, and Louis Fitchner. In the GT3s, Tim Williams started from pit lane as well as Marahan Coderman, so both have been down the pits once. As well as Paolo Minetti, who's down 4 positions. We've seen Minetti crash a few times in that BMW. Nick Ewers actually under threat now from Tim Williams, who was able to qualify in P2. Williams now probably, like I said, took those dries at the race start. Let's see if we can get Tim Williams up on screen here. There he is, Tim Williams, the man, the myth, the legend. 797 pilot last time around, put down a 201.62 compared to the 202 set by Ewers ahead. Good run through Lesmo 1. Good run through Lesmo 2. Ewers has a better exit as the gap escapes Tim Williams. And of course, as we all know, catching is one thing, passing is a whole nother ball game. Can Williams force Ewers into a mistake? Not on this lap, potentially, as Williams keeps on getting gapped by Ewers ahead. Minute 9.7, 2-minute 9.3, 2-minute 7. Whoa, Tim Williams heavy on the brakes. Loses the rear end, will take to the chicane. Going through the chicane. And that will conclude the battle between Williams and Ewers for now, at the very least. Over to Oscar Corbett in the 998 driver. Your personal best from Corbett that last time around to show you that the track is improving, at least in the slightest. 32 minutes left to go on the clock. Still anybody's ball game. Andrew Kenny down 1 from where he started. Mark Richards up 2. Roberts 4 up 2. Corbett down 3. Roberts 4, driver out from P4, will enter pit lane. And you can see that Corbett is just hunting for puddles to keep those tires cool. As Corbett tries to extend the stint a little bit. Oscar Corbett and the SDR team will unfortunately not get around Robert Zvor, who has taken their pit stop. The gap will be one of the closest on track at 4.2 seconds. Checking in with our leader, Thomas Oliviati, and that number 16 as he gets around the Dodgemobile. Fast lap from Oliviati, 147.49, almost matching his PB, 147.1. Simone Massey takes away the new fast lap of the event, 159.61, if I'm not mistaken, for the GT3 category. Very nice. Another 147 comes out from Thomas Oliviati. Richards in second, Kenny in third, Simpkins in fourth, Roberts 4 in fifth, Oscar Corbett in seventh, and Lewis Fisher in eighth. Uber Tolly's gap, I've just been keeping an eye on it. You know, it was at 7 seconds a couple laps ago. It's not gotten to an untouchable place like Oliviati and Richards at nearly 30 seconds. It stayed right around that 8-second gap. Kenny comes down pit road. I'll be the third place driver, taking a little breather for now. over to Gabbiani and Nick Ewers. Ewers looks again down pit road, trying to find any opportunity to get past Gabbiani. Oh, and Tim Williams closes down the gap going in towards one and goes a little too deep himself. Will get back in behind Nick Ewers. Traffic. Tricky again. Let the leaders by. Hopefully, if they're patient, they can wait for the straightaways. Now, Ewers closes down on Gabbiani up ahead. And Williams loses ground behind around the outside. Ewers goes around Gabbiani, but touches the green paint. Slip and slide moment there for Ewers as he went wheel to wheel with one of Italy's greatest. Oliviati, the leader of the GTPs, will come down pit road. There's 25 minutes remaining. The sky has gotten darker and darker. Potential rain might be coming back. Still this three-way train between Gabbiani, Ewers, and Williams here. 4, 5, and 6 still undecided. Ewers was in a podium battle for half of this race until he got passed. Still a great battle here between the GT3 field. Especially under these conditions, we might see some Porsche on Porsche violence as Williams looks to the inside line on Ewers. I think under braking, Ewers is in too deep. Crisscross over the sausages. That will allow Tim Williams to walk his way right on by. Now Tim Williams has his work cut out for him. He's been fighting all race long to get back into the points, but now he's got P4 on the cards. Corbett's in, Coderman also in. And that'll be Paul Rocky Cook in a pit lane. Tim Williams has some pace on Gabbiati ahead, 8/10 on that lap, but we've seen him catch up and not get moves done before, so where exactly is he faster on track? Looks like Sector 2 and Sector 4 is where Williams is stronger. Again, strong in Sector 1. Corbett comes down pit lane. Oh no! And that'll be Gabbiati going round all on his own, unassisted by Williams. That will be the end of that GT3 battle. Tim Williams up into P4 now, chasing Simone Massey out ahead, but a gap of 8 seconds with 20 left to go is pretty large. Take a look at the pit lane, and there comes Corbett out and about. Roberts 4. Very quiet race for him. Only gained 1 as the Czech driver crosses the start-finish line. 151.71 last time around. Roberts 4 in a bit of an island. Not getting caught by Fitchner behind, but not catching Leslie Simpkins up ahead. Leslie has recovered to P4, gaining 1 position tonight. Mark Richards has gained 2. Kenny is down 1 from where he started. Simone Massey in the number 69 Racing Point has caught up to Vincenzo Stagnito in the number 10 ahead. We'll have to see how the cookie crumbles in this battle. Now the gap. Slinky is up to 1 second, but there goes Stagnito around. Just felt the pressure from behind. Here comes Stagnito through Curva Parabolica. Gets on the accelerator and just slips around. That'll be a trip down pit lane for both Simone Massey and Vincenzo Stagnito. Leaves Ubertali out. Williams showing he has come down pit road, but I believe that was from when he actually started in pit lane. I don't think he's actually taken a service yet. But promoted back up to where he started this race, or should have started this race at least in P2. Francisco Cardullo into the pits. Leslie Simpkins has another crash. Take a quick look at what happened here to Leslie. Coming in towards 1. 33 on the brakes, and we'll just go straight on through. And that's one way to take the chicane. Ubertali, Williams, Ewers all into the pits. That'll be your 1, 2, 3 in the GT3 category. Ubertali on their way out, should cycle back out into the lead. Now, Williams and Ewers are nose to tail right now in pit lane. And there goes Massey through. Simon Darsh into pit lane, whereas Vincenzo Stagnito coming down the line now. Tim Williams on pit exit. It's gonna be close, but no cigar for Williams, as he is still gonna be a couple seconds back from Stagnito. Are those dry tires from Tim Williams? No. No, they're not. Those are blue-walled tires. Those are blue-walled tires. I just needed to make sure. Ewers resumes battle with Gabbiati. Pit lane time difference being around 7 seconds. And the service time being around 7 seconds as well. So Ewers able to gain a whole heap of time on Gabbiati ahead just with his service. On board with the Italian driver. Ooh, and the 33 trying to find a way by. That's Leslie Simpkins. And Ewers will take to the edge of Parabolica there, allowing the GTP drivers to cut through. Now, Leslie definitely having a roller coaster of a race tonight. We're back up into the top 4. Get a good haul of points on the evening. Oscar Corbett in tow. And Leslie letting Corbett unlap himself there. Being about 3 seconds faster on that previous lap than Simpkins was. .158.8 from Ubertali continues to put down new personal bests for the GT3 field. Won't be the fastest lap of the session. That belongs to Simone Massey and his 158.7 though. Gaggle of cars trying to find dry lines here at the Autódromo. Although the sun has come out, it does not seem like there is a dry line forming. All the drivers staying on the wet compounds. And as it were, all the drivers have made their mandatory pit stops for the evening. Gabbiati chasing down Ewers as Ewers tries to let go the outside way at Ascari. Gabbiati will be defensive here. Can Ewers carry the speed through Ascari though and challenge down and towards Parabolica? This could be P5 for Ewers tonight. The inside, the 15 covers off any attack from the 55, and the 55 switches things up to the inside line. Tries to carry more speed. Now they're going to go all the way down to the pit wall. Side drafting galore here at Monza. Gabbiati stays away from the puddles. Ewers easy on the brakes, nice and early to make sure he gets stopped in time, falls in single file behind Mauro Gabbiati in the number 15 Ferrari. Andrew Kenny gets a meatball flag with just 8.5 left to go. This might put Leslie Simpkins on that front row. Well, excuse me, on the podium, I should say. Tim Williams, what a recovery drive for him. Back up into P4. There goes Simpkins through on Kenny, who is meatballing around right now. down the back stretch into Parabolica. Kenny comes down pit lane. Ewers and Gabbiati get close to each other, but so do Williams and Stagnito up ahead. Mr. Tim Williams could be on for a podium tonight with a last to first challenge. Around the outside at Curva Grande is tricky under the best of circumstances, but in the wet, it gets a little worse. Stagnito jams through the puddles, closes the door on Tim Williams, but leaves the racing breath there. Williams goes through on Stagnito. Leading into Lesmo 1. Now, through Ascari, where the move couldn't be made previously, Williams onto the podium. And the rain is officially back. At least in Sector 3. Stagnito loses ground on Williams ahead and has a big drifto moment coming through turn 2. That might be the last opportunity for Stagnito to hold on to that podium. Stagnito hasn't given up hope. Closes down the gap on Williams ahead, the 797 Porsche. Looking aggressively to the inside line, towards the sky. Williams there. Tim Williams and the Sausage Dodgers 797. This should be 2 to go now with 3:15 remaining on the clock. Drivers will get this lap plus one more to conclude the session. Can Tim Williams hold on to this miraculous podium of his? Slow down penalty for Ewers as he goes off track. And that will pretty much end his battle. Oh no, he stays ahead of Gabbiati. Excuse me, I thought the slowdown penalty was going to scoop him up into Gabbiati's clutches, but no. Here's Thomas Oliviati, the Italian man, on Italian soil. Mr. Oliviati comes around, comes through that first chicane. And it will be the white flag lap. Barney the flag man waving that flag for me. This will be lap 41 of race running. Obviously the lap times affected how many race laps we were going to get to. Paul Rocky Cook within a couple of tenths of Lewis Fitchner, and Stagnito and Williams going after it. We might have to go back over to this. Hold your breath, hold your horses, because the rundown into the second chicane is about to get dicey, and they're going to touch one time, two times. Stagnito goes off into the gravel with a hip check from Williams, and I think the flashy of the headlights was warranted there. Oh, and the 21 of Mattia Ubertali gets passed. I think they will actually finish in order just like this. It will be Oliviati taking P1 in the GTP category, and Mattia Ubertali in P1 in the GT3 for the Absolute Motorsport Acelith team. A little further back, Simone Massey will take the victory, well, P2, excuse me. Oh, the victory for Team Racing Point at the very least. The number 69's best result of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Mark Richards in the number 420 in P2. Leslie Simpkins in P3. Tim Williams and Vincenzo Stagnito dragged it out to the line for P3 and P4. Nick Ewers came home in P5 in front of Mauro Gabbiati. Simone Darsh, Francisco Cardullo, Paolo Minetti, and Marahan Koderman will round out the 10 GT3 drivers. Andrew Kenny, Paul Rocky Cook, Lewis Fitchner drag it out to the line here. Whoa, and Fitchner did not see the stationary car there. As we drag it out to the line, Oscar Corbett in P8 for the GTP category. Now we'll see if we can get anybody in for an interview. See if we can talk to anybody in Discord. Again, a big shout out and thanks to our title sponsor for this event, Gemini Prestige Vehicle Movers. They help keep the lights on and the servers going here for the Sausage Dodgers, thanks to Nick Ewers. If you want to see some of the cool cars that this man gets to touch, it's pretty amazing stuff. You should check him out on his Instagram and his Facebook page. Here's a couple of them. Again, big shout out and thanks to our title sponsor, Nick Ewers and the Prestige Vehicle Movers for their sponsorship of the Sausage Dodgers Endurance League. Really appreciate it, folks. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much to all of our Patreon subscribers as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications of when we go live next. We'll see you on Tuesday for Formula SDR, folks. Have a great night, and as always, remember to stay safe out there. Goodbye for now.